Alrighty, well, look at there. You found us again this week. Our 102nd straight week right here at the Frat House. Brought to you by Frat House Sports with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And here we are in mid-August. And now just 3 weeks away from two big events. One, the beginning of the football season, NFL football season.
Oh, is it?
Yes. And the second would be
cheerleaders.
Our second anniversary show.
Oh, okay.
That's 3 weeks away. Hard to believe. It really is. It's hard to believe we're already here at mid-May. Yeah, I wish it were mid-May. Mid-August. You know what else is hard to believe? It's hard to believe that we already have 22 races completed and under our belt, and just 4 remaining in the NASCAR season leading into the chase. And there you go. How'd you like that segue? Works right into last Sunday. And let's go take a look at what happened in NASCAR. We went road tracking up at the Glen, one of my favorite places to watch a race. It really is. I just love watching. I don't know, you and I have talked about
the right turns?
Yeah, but you and I have talked about actually going up to the Glen and sitting. I don't know if I'd actually want to be, a spectator, but watching it on television is just really exciting. Seeing them come down through the S and all what have you, it is fabulous. And with its tight turn 1 and the inner loop, otherwise known as the bus stop, Watkins Glen this past week certainly had its share of wrecks, leading to 8 cautions. But nonetheless, there you go. Pole leader and the past 2-time winner of the Glen, Marcus Ambrose, ran away with the lead for nearly 60% of the race. Ambrose led 51 of the 90 laps. And where did he finish? How about 31st? I almost felt bad for the guy, really. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm watching. I actually felt bad for Marcus Ambrose. That is, following closely behind him, Ambrose, the entire race was the number 18 of Kyle Busch. For a moment, it was incredibly reminiscent, really, of last year's race. If you remember last year's race, it really was just Ambrose and Kyle Busch the entire way. And Kyle Busch started the race this past weekend out of the 5th spot, ended up, he only led 29 in the laps, but the last one was the most important, as he won for the first time at the Glen since 2008 and secured his 3rd victory of the season. Others who came in the top 5 included defending Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski, coming in 2nd, Martin Truex Jr., who actually is starting to show out that he's a pretty good road track racer. Came in 3rd, Carl Edwards. What's that?
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, exactly. Carl Edwards nailed down another top 5 by coming in 4th, and Juan Pablo Montoya came in 5th. A couple of these guys we're going to be talking about as we go here in a couple of moments. So we count down the final 4 races of the season. We did see just a bit of movement on the leaderboard. The top 4 are exactly the same. Jimmy Johnson at the top of the list, still 75 points ahead of the number 2, Clint Boyer. Carl Edwards hangs in there at number 3, Kevin Harvick at number 4. But with his 3rd victory of the season, Kyle Busch now has moved up into the number 5. Talk to us. What caught your eye below the line, below the 5 line?
Well, below the line we had, our wild cards obviously switched up.
Yeah, exactly, they did.
We've now got Casey Kane in 12th place in the first wild card, and Ryan Newman 14th. Stewart dropped last week from 11th to 17th this week. So, he's probably going to drop potentially another 6 spots this week. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but it's starting to really look like his shot at getting into the chase is out.
It's unfortunate.
What I think, kind of looking from an analysis standpoint, I think you need to see, for Tony to have a shot at it, he needs to come back soon, 1. Kane or Newman need to move in the top 10, and Keselowski needs to fall out. Because Keselowski right now is in top 10, but has no wins. He's the lowest no-win guy. And he just got it back in.
Yeah, right.
So, now, the biggest losers of the week were Casey Kane, and Jeff Gordon. And then the biggest movers of the week were Keselowski, who moved up, as I said, 4 spots.
Right.
And then Truex Jr., for his performance, moved up 4 spots as well.
And Truex is in 10th now. Is that correct? Yep, in 10th.
Yep.
So we're not even talking about
he was a wild card last
Exactly.
week.
We're not even talking wild card with Truex. So,
Yep.
alrighty. So there you have it. And 4 races left, and people would say, well, hey, you know, it's all pretty much a done deal. No. See, as we pointed out last week, it's really much below the 5 line at this point. But a couple of quick NASCAR-related items I wanted to bring up really has kind of to do with the leaderboard, Sidekick. The other day I'm listening to Rusty Wallace talking a bit post-game race analysis and the current standings as we pointed up. And he made the comment regarding Kyle Busch that while he has run very, very well this season, he just hasn't been that dominant. Now, you know, I heard that and my ears perked up. Of course, I make no qualms about it. I'm a Kyle Busch fan. But with 3 wins and 10 top 5s, how could you be much more dominant? My goodness, you could make an argument that he has been as dominant as Jimmy Johnson, but with 1 less win. Nobody in the entire circuit has got 10 top 5s but Kyle Busch. What are your thoughts on that? Well, here,
since you bring up Jimmy Johnson, I'm sorry. Okay, let's compare the two.
Go ahead.
Jimmy Johnson has 4 wins.
Yep.
9 top 5s.
Right.
Okay. Kyle Busch has 3 wins, 10 top 5s. The difference is when Kyle Busch is good, Kyle Busch is good. When Kyle Busch is bad, he's awful. And that's the thing. That's the difference between him and Jimmy Johnson. And I think that's what Rusty Wallace was alluding to. You know, sure, you look at top 5s and wins, sure, he looks just as dominant as Jimmy Johnson. But you got to look at how he's finished in those other races. And he's been crashed out of several races and stuff like that. That's what's hurting Kyle Busch.
Right. Now,
and that's why that's why while you say he's dominant, Rusty's saying he's not dominant because he's not, you know, in those other races, he's not running well at all.
And maybe that's where I fall into the trap because, as we both know, I'm a sports stats guy. And so I'm always looking at the numbers. I'm looking at stats. It doesn't matter what the sport is. And when I'm looking at numbers, I'm saying to myself, for God's sakes, Kyle Busch has just been incredible. I mean, when you look at the leaderboard as it is right now, can you truly sit there and say that Clint Bowyer has been a better driver than Kyle Busch this season?
Sure, he's in second place.
Yeah, but looking at the stats, as we point out, Clint Bowyer does not have a single win.
Right, but he's consistent.
I understand the concept of consistency, but
Clint Bowyer runs well every week. Yes, he's not dominant where he's winning races and he's, you know, but he's probably, you know, and he probably doesn't have enough top 5s. But if you go back and you look at top 10s, I bet if you look at top 10s, I bet Clint Bowyer is probably leading top 10s.
Not currently on the standing board. Kyle Busch is leading that with 10. Or are you talking about top 10s?
I'm talking about top 10s.
Top 10s. Okay, I'm not. Yeah, I
top 10. That's what I'm saying. If you back it out and look at top 10s,
right,
I bet you'll see Clint Bowyer is probably running away from the pack in top 10s.
All right.
So he's quiet about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas, you know, and that's, you know, Jimmy you see is dominant. You know, the other thing is who I'm trying to think of who else was up there with 3 wins. 3 or 4 wins. Kenseth.
Kenseth. Matt Kenseth, right.
You don't even see Kenseth on this list. He's even lower than Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
So, you know.
All right. Well, in fact, Kenseth, I think, has 4, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's tied with Jimmy
Johnson. He's tied with Jimmy Johnson, right.
So, and you know, he's top 10, but he's still,
right.
You know.
All right. Well,
consistency.
We got 4 races left, and frankly, the way that I see it, Kyle's moving. I mean, he's obviously had a far better season this year than he did last year when he didn't even make the chase at all.
Right.
I
versus the season before that. You remember the season 2 years ago.
Correct.
I mean, he was leading points going into the chase.
Yeah, you can lock it. You can lock it
and
at
then
this point. He's in the chase.
He just fell on it.
So we'll see where it goes. We've got 14 weeks left to the season, 4 weeks left of the regular season, and then 10 weeks of the chase. So we still have a lot of racing yet to go. All right, the other topic I wanted to bring up. A lot of chat and announcements this week about driver movement. Always seems that it's this way this time of the season when we hear these types of changes for the upcoming season. I kind of sit back and I laugh a little bit. It's kind of like this is NASCAR's free agency period. But it goes on actually during their season. It doesn't go on during the off season.
Yep, it starts picking up towards the end of the season.
Exactly. First was the announcement that Brian Vickers would take over the wheel full-time of Michael Waltrip's number 55. Now, for those of you that follow NASCAR closely, obviously, that leaves Mark Martin. Bam! Out on the sidewalk.
Hit the road!
Mark Martin had run about 2/3. We had figured that one out the other day. About 2/3 of the races in the number 55. Then came the second revelation this week that Juan Pablo Montoya would be out of the Earnhardt Ganassi number 42. As far to the best of my knowledge, there's been no word on who's going to take over the reins of that vehicle. I mean, I haven't heard anything. I'll let you fill us in on that one in a moment. Now, in the meantime, though, you've got Ryan Newman. He's sitting out there on the sidewalk as well without a ride for next season with the decision made last week that Stuart Haas had ended or will be ending their relationship with him. So
with Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman. I'm sorry. What did I say? Never mind.
You said with him.
Okay.
Inferring Harvick.
Right.
Sorry.
Now, what do you make of all of this psychic? I mean, Newman. I mean, he should have a ride. It seems to me. I mean, he's a very capable driver. Martin, he certainly.
Well, see, the thing with Mark Martin is Mark Martin's semi-retired.
Well, running 2/3 of the races though.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You know, what makes it difficult for Mark Martin is when you sign him onto a team. Mm-hmm. You got to realize he's only going to run 2/3 or whatever, a partial schedule.
Right.
So now, okay, it does fit if you've got somebody that you want to run, somebody that's like a nationwide guy that you're kind of grooming to come up the Sprint Cup, where you just want to get him in a couple races, then a Mark Martin fits into your organization because, then you can swap around drivers. It just gets a little bit harder for Mark Martin to pick where where he, I want to go to this team and try to get that team, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay, but let me ask you a question real quick. Why not bring Vickers in for those 10 races or a little bit more than that? I think we figured out it was like 22 races that Mark Martin was running. So if you count in the chase, you're talking a difference of 14 races. Why don't you just put Vickers in on those 14? Why? I mean, is Vickers... I mean, when I look... We've seen Vickers up in Sprint Cup before. I've not been terribly impressed. Martin, I think...
he was good before, but here's what happened with Vickers. Vickers had that issue with the blood clots, and kind of got pushed out of his ride, and then he also raced for Red Bull, and Red Bull folded.
Right. I mean, it wasn't the greatest team, I realize, right.
Right. So, he worked his way back, got lucky, and got the part-time ride with Mark Martin. Mark Martin's contract was up, so they were like, okay, well, we're going to, extend, we're going to make Vickers our full-time driver. So, Mark Martin's
what's your suspicion on Montoya? What happens there?
Well, honestly, I think this is it's actually going to turn out to be a good move for Montoya if he decides to stay in NASCAR.
Really?
Earnhardt Ganassi you don't see where they've got really good equipment. I think there's a better chance for if Juan Pablo Montoya wants to stay in NASCAR. He's lucky. He's got some options. He can go home and just retire and live on his millions and all that stuff. And fly his little model airplanes that he likes to fly. He can go back. He came from F1, so he can go. He can go Indy, F1,
right?
Or he can try to pick up another ride in NASCAR.
But there aren't too many out there, as we're seeing. And in fact, they're starting to dry up
right now. But as the season goes on, you may see more cars open up.
Okay, and that was going to be my last follow-up question to you. Can we expect this? Do you think there's going to be more?
There's going to be more movement. Sure.
Okay.
There's definitely going to be more movement.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's. The
I mean,
way
you
things
could
are
even
shaking
honestly,
down.
you could potentially see Martin in Montoya's ride.
Well, that was my thinking.
Because they've got Kyle Larson down in Nationwide right now.
Right.
That they could fit him into a part-time schedule with Martin, and work on that with the with the ultimate end goal of having Larson take that ride over full time.
Yep.
You got Newman out there. Newman can take Montoya's ride.
That's kind of where I was going with it. Could it be Newman
You've got
or Martin?
Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, he's out of his contract is. They haven't let go of him, but his contract ends at the end of the season.
Right.
And there's some flux going on with Furniture Row. So you could see Kurt Busch at Earnhardt Ganassi. So, it's still fluid.
All right.
Plus, there's other drivers whose contracts end that you haven't seen movement on yet that could free up where you could see other rides come up now. So,
All right, well, there you have it. Movement going on, and we'll be bringing it to you as it continues to unfold over the next number of weeks. Sidekick seems to think it's going to continue.
Actually, one other one, and I think Brand's probably heard this rumor, but the 3 from Richard Childress may be making an appearance back next season. So there's
All right.
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed about that one, but that's one of those cars I feel should be retired, like you retire a football jersey. I know you don't really retire car numbers, but if there was a car in NASCAR,
right,
that I think you would want, a number that you would retire and kind of put up, I think the 3 would be that.
Interesting.
So.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, we're counting them down, as you can see. Race number 22, we're heading out to the big 2-mile track in Brooklyn, Michigan. This is another one of my favorite tracks, actually, to watch.
Michigan or New York?
Michigan, Brooklyn, New York, or Brooklyn, Michigan, rather. Now you're getting me confused. This is one of my favorite tracks to actually watch, Michigan International Speedway. I got to say I was pretty happy with my second place finish last week in the Fantasy League, albeit I lost by half a point to our Frat House Sports Fred Nicole. But
I'm not going to get into all that.
There's still time for me, as pointed out pre-show. Still time for me to creep up in the leaderboard, so help me out.
Well, you're in the top 10 now.
Yes, I am. So I'm in the top 9. Help us out with some fantasy.
This should be fun because, they repaved it.
Yep.
A year ago, 2 years ago. So, there's no real sunken in grooves. So, there'll be 3-wide racing. There'll be, it'll be fun. All right. Picks. So, we're going to go with, going to start out Jimmy Johnson.
Okay.
It's crunch time. Jimmy Johnson, $29. He's pretty pricey, but, the guy's leading most of the fantasy point values. I could spit out how many victories or top 5s he's got. But the guy, even if he doesn't win a race, he's still, he's still racking up points.
Yep.
So,
we've talked about it.
Second on the roster, we're going to go with the Biff. He's got 2 consecutive victories at MIS.
Yeah, that's right.
And top 5.
That's right.
So he's actually got 3 consecutive top 5s and 2 back-to-back wins.
He's 25-25. He hasn't had the season, though, that I think a lot of us thought. Go ahead.
But, Martin Truex Jr. Finished 3rd in this race earlier in the season, 25-50. And we were just talking about how Truex has kind of been, coming along.
Recently, yep.
We're going to throw a bargain pick here, which for every week that Tony Stewart doesn't come back, you can pretty much guess that his replacement will be on the roster because it's going to be a bargain because the guy's going to be probably between $9 and $10 or $11, and he's going to be riding in primo equipment.
Yep.
So Austin Dillon this week gets the nod. He will be Tony's replacement, and he's going for $11.
Okay.
So that's kind of a And then we're going to kind of throw at the dartboard. We're going to come up with Furniture Rose, David Reagan, for $9. That takes the roster to $99.75.
There you go. Alrighty. Listen, before we jump off of racing, let's go take a look at this week's Frat House Sports Facebook post of the week, which was a post you put up, Sidekick.
Yay!
Announcing that Juan Pablo Montoya will not be back in the number 42 next season, as we were just talking about.
Yep.
And that post got the most views and activity from all of our racing fans out there, and we know we've got a load of them, over at Frat House Sports, over on our Facebook page. So thanks so much. Keep the posts coming. Make sure you get over there and check out our Frat House Sports Facebook page and give it a like, all right? Plus, get your friends to like it as well. All right.
And now, 4 minutes of football.
There you go. 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes. Time it. Question, is everybody now finally getting tired of former quarterback Donovan McNabb spouting off his nonsense on his new radio show? This week, his comments were directed at Redskins quarterback Robert Griffin III, RG3. McNabb stated, "I honestly think that over there in Washington, he's getting brainwashed." What in the hell? What is this about? Is this sour grapes or what?
Enough already.
I mean, seriously.
Come on, Donovan McNabb hadn't been relevant since he puked in the Super Bowl.
Oh, my Lord.
It's my quarterback.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. Every
What
time he
is
opens
this
his
whole-
mouth,
what is-
we give this guy too much credit. Put him on radio, put him on television, all of a sudden everybody wants to hear what he has to say.
That's because, he makes for news.
Absolutely. Now, look, dating back to last year's CBA negotiations, Commissioner Roger Goodell has been pushing for HGH testing. Indications are that the NFLPA now is weakening a bit. They've sent memos out to their players saying testing's coming soon. But now we got reports that the union is proposing what I refer to as Frankenstein-type experiments with roughly 100 former players. The idea would be that there would be a study. 2/3 would receive HGH, the other third receiving a placebo. And then they would gauge the HGA levels of each of the groups. It's just going, what in the world? I mean, I got to ask it again. What the hell? I mean, seriously? What's your thoughts on this one?
I don't see. My objection to it is the fact that in the proposal that the NFL came up with, that Goodell would hear the appeals. That's my beef.
Well, no, I understand that, but
I think you need to have it go to a third party for
no, I
an
understand
appeals
that, but
process.
he can't even get the HGH testing involved in the whole process. He's been trying since the CBA, and it seems like the union, all they're doing is dragging their feet. Yeah. Every time it gets brought up, they just keep dragging their feet. Now we're going to do testing where we're going to bring in 100 former players.
And then we're going to give them HGH.
Yeah, then we're going to inject it into you. Oh, are you kidding me? All right, last but not least, we saw New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady come wobbling off the field yesterday after a practice knee injury. Didn't look that bad, but, look, let's remember he is 36.
Holy ball and chain.
36-year-old Tom Brady. I mean, hard to believe. Then you got reports out of the New York Jets
Was this
area.
brought up by ESPN by chance?
What's that?
The whole Tom Brady getting hurt thing?
I honestly don't know. I picked it up in a number of different areas, but New York Jets coach Rex Ryan then yesterday making reports that Geno Smith, their freshman quarterback, had possibly the worst day any professional quarterback ever could have possibly had in training camp. Question for you. If Brady were ever to go down for a long period of time and you got all the Jets with all their messes going on up there, question, could this AFC East actually get up for grabs?
Okay, well, let's look at the AFC East.
Go ahead.
We? The Buffalo Bills. We've got Kevin Cobb and E.J. Manuel in a quarterback competition.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Kevin Cobb and E.J. Manuel.
Yep.
Okay, come on.
That's not dissimilar to the Jets, but go ahead.
Then we got the Jets.
Yeah.
Which,
Sanchez
that's dysfunctional family.
Smith, yeah, right. Plus all the other mess, right.
And then, so then you got Miami.
Right.
Is anyone sold on Tannehill? You know, the best thing going for Miami is his hot girlfriend. I'm sorry. And then you got the murdering Patriots.
Okay, but the question is, if Brady were to go down for an extended period of time, could this AFC East be up for grabs?
No.
Okay, there it is. You got it.
I don't think there's enough competition between the other three teams. But please don't let Brady go down, because ESPN's going to all they're going to be doing is Tebow.
Oh, I know. Yeah, well, no, I know, but that's exactly where we go.
Hello, I think Tebow's behind Mallet.
Watch Miami, folks. Watch Miami.
Yeah, Tannehill's girlfriend's hot.
Let's go take a look at what's happening.
That's why we watch Miami.
Let's go over and take a look at what's happening on our diamonds around Major League Baseball, as we are now, as I pointed out at the top of the show, unfortunately we're counting down now the days, I guess, left of the Major League Baseball season as we are here in mid-August. Over in the American League, the Boston Red Sox still 3 games ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays. In the Central, the Detroit Tigers still 6 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians. And in the West, lo and behold, take a look at this one. Texas Rangers have now moved on top again, 2 games in front of the Oakland A's. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves dropped off just a bit, but still have a rather hefty 14 games in front of the Washington Nationals. In the Central, the Pittsburgh Pirates stay 3 games ahead of your St. Louis Cardinals. They're going to get their, with Yachty back, they're going to get that back going again or what? Huh?
Well, okay, let's be honest about the Central, though. The second place team in the Central is getting a wild card.
Well, that's
with the
true.
way, you know what I mean?
Absolutely true.
With the
way the NL
the way their records are.
Yeah, and with the way the NL has
it doesn't matter who's in second.
Yep.
You know,
I agree.
They're getting a wild card, whether it's the Bucks or it's you know.
Yep.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I am a fan. I want to see my team win.
Right.
I'd like to be at the top of the division and not a wild card. But I'm not that worried.
We were a wild card 1 year before, I think I remember, and
yeah,
it actually went pretty well. Over in the West, the Dodgers are.
It's time again for Frat House Mike's Screwball Stories.
All right, well, the season might be winding down, but not the screwy stories. And we have to start it off with another in our regular updates on our Manny Watch. Do that with a wink. And this one, however, actually has me a bit concerned and wondering whether it might be our last. Last week we reported Manny had made the move from, or actually a couple of weeks ago, we have reported that Manny had made the move from Taiwan to the Texas Rangers, AAA Round Rock Express team. All right, he was down in AAA. Now comes the announcement this week that the Rangers have released the 41-year-old with this statement. This was it. Quote, based on our evaluation, there was not a spot on the club for Manny at this time. Wow, talk about putting a nail in the coffin. If, and it's a big if Manny's career ends here, he closes it out with a .312 career hitting, with 555 home runs, 1,329 walks in 2,302 games for the 9th best OPS in baseball history. What's your bet? We going to be talking Manny next season? What's your bet?
I wouldn't be surprised if we're not talking Manny
next week.
Are you kidding me? Oh, my God.
We're watching you, Manny. We're watching you.
And next week on, as the baseball turns.
You know something, Manny? You got to come on our show. You got to give us some love for all the love we've given to you, my friend. Nobody's covered you the way we have here at the Frat House.
Yep. We might have a spot for you in our team.
We might have a spot for him permanently. He might not have a place in baseball. All right. In the wake of the hype made about the recent MLB suspensions of over a dozen players, former journeyman outfielder Shane Spencer played 7 seasons for 4 different teams and retired in 2004.
Who?
Well, yeah, he called into 104.5 ESPN radio out of Albany, New York the other day and admitted to dabbling in steroid use. Now, certainly, this would be groundbreaking stuff from anyone with any other name other than Shane Spencer, as you pointed out. Who?
Who?
Shane Spencer? Well, perhaps that's why the person who called in actually impersonated Shane Spencer, knowing that nobody would know who the hell he was, and knew that he would probably get away with it. Apparently, on the other person, caller on the other end of it was not Shane Spencer at all. It was somebody impersonating him. Perhaps Spencer's career-ending stats. You ready? 538 game appearances, 59 home runs, 242 RBIs, 262 batting average. Well, maybe that was a dead giveaway to anybody listening that Spencer would not have been a steroid user. What people will do just to get their 30 seconds of fame.
There's something screwy around
If you're
here.
going to get 30 seconds of fame, why are you going to do it as somebody else?
Shane Spencer?
I mean, come on. At least call up as Albert Pujols.
And then you end up in court.
True. Which would make it even funnier.
It would, actually. Listen, following the Blue Jays house cleaning of the Miami Marlins last offseason, there was a lot of anticipation that the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, would be atop the AL East, rivaling the Yankees, Orioles, and certainly the Red Sox. Well, that's not been exactly the script this season. As we saw earlier, the Red Sox lead the division, and the Blue Jays, well, where are they? In the basement, 16 games out. So one of the centerpieces from the Miami Marlins fire sale, Emilio Bonifacio, along with people like Jose Reyes, Mark Burley, Josh Johnson. Well, Emilio Bonifacio, he became, I guess, expendable? Well, that's the way the Jays saw it, with Bonifacio hitting just .218 with 3 home runs this season. So, welcome to the Kansas City Royals, Emilio. Listen, don't feel so bad, buddy. This might actually work out for you in the long run. The Royals are just 4.5 games right now out of the wild card. Before long, you might be seeing Reyes going in and demanding he be moved to, oh, I don't know.
Well, I was going
the Arizona Diamondbacks, you know, something like that.
Actually, I was going to say maybe we were a little overcritical of the Marlins with their fire sale, because apparently they jettisoned all these people to the Blue Jays, and they didn't do anything for the Blue Jays either. So maybe it wasn't really that bad of a move by the Marlins.
Are you trying to get me to actually praise Jeffrey Loria here?
No,
on
I'm
the show?
not.
I can't do
I'm
that.
just saying maybe there's a little something more to this.
I triple dog dare you!
I'll take it under consideration, Jeff, but don't be planning on hearing anything kind from me. All right, there's our show for this week.
Yep.
We'll be coming back at you next week with 103rd show next week. So we get deeper and deeper into August and closer to the NFL season. Oh, you
Can't
can feel
wait.
it coming, can't you? You can feel it coming.
The draft is next week.
Yes, it is. A fantasy draft for
Yay.
Frat House Sports right here next Sunday.
Woo.
And you'll be
trying to figure out which cheerleaders I'm going to draft this year.
I'm going to give you all the cheerleaders you want. Take them
Awesome.
all right, in the
Love me
meantime,
some
real quick,
cheerleaders.
let's run around.
I'd like
Please
to
go
run
over
around
and
with some
check out.
cheerleaders.
Please go over and check out our friends over at CLW83.com. Check out all their original programming, plus the programming that they kindly rebroadcast for us right here from the Frat House. We appreciate it, Jim. We appreciate it, Carl. Everybody get out there. Check out CLW83. And last but not least, don't forget to be checking in with our own website, FratHouseSports.net. Lots of big announcements and surprises coming everybody's way in the next couple of weeks as we move closer and closer, as I pointed out, to football season, but also, as I pointed out at the top of the show, to our 2nd anniversary show coming up in just 3 weeks. In the meantime, you know what you got to do. You got to keep us real, you got to keep us live, and you got to keep us going. We'll see you next week.
Unless you want to zing me, but... Yeah.
No, I'm not looking to zing anybody. He made the comment that while Kyle has been running very, very well, he just hasn't been that dominant. Well,
that's
no, wait, hold on. I'm going to dispute that. With 3 wins and 10 top 5s, there's no one else on the circuit that's got 10 top 5s. No one. Not even Jimmy Johnson.
Can I tell you where his argument's coming from? All those stats, he's not on the top 5. Okay, he is 5th now.
He's 5th now. He just
now
bumped.
He is.
Okay.
Just
he
bumped
hasn't
her.
been all year, though.
No, he hasn't been. What I'm saying is he's got more top 5s than anybody else in the entire circuit.
He should be higher up, is Rusty's point. He's not, when he
Look,
has bad days,
exactly. Here's perfect. Here's
okay,
perfect.
well then save it for the show.
Okay.
All right, save it for the show because I'm going to bring it up to you, and
I
I
get exactly what Rusty's talking
Yeah,
about.
I get it too.
All right, okay, all right.
I get it.
Well then, all right, then treat me. No, seriously, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. Treat me like a child because I'm looking at it, and I'm reading this, or I'm hearing this, and I'm going, what the hell? The guy's more top 5s than anybody else in the entire league. You could sit here and make an argument that Kyle Busch has been as dominant as Jimmy Johnson, with the exception of 1 race win less.
When you get to
All right,
it, we'll,
and you can go into it.
It'll click once I explain it to you.